Um,
We're on, John Fletcher. So, Coach Challenge cards in the house, see-through box. Just wanted to probably spend 10, 15 minutes with Fletch talking about the challenge cards and some of the stuff we've seen, and maybe at some stage some of the unintended consequences if we might delve into that as well. So, first thing I'm always thinking is start with the why. So, why are you using the cards? Thank you, Simon Sinek. How am I going to use them, and then what card? So that would be a pretty the most important thing for me. What are you thinking, Fletch?
I think a good place to start is the why. So, why did we come up with the Coach Challenge cards? So, for me, this was my take on it. I think they were quite a playful way to support coaches, possibly nudge a few. We definitely wanted to do around the whole experience of coaching. It wasn't just the on grass stuff. There's some challenge around before, after meetings and the match itself, the game. So we spoke earlier around actually how can we make that a much more pleasurable experience for everybody, including the coach. Again, I'm going to say it again. Coaches, stop being stressed during the match. It's supposed to be fun and enjoyable and something you do in your spare time, your pastime. Lots of you would have had great experiences as players. So let's just all chillax a bit. So that was my main why. What was any stuff going on with you?
Yeah, so you've made me think. I picked out 4 of my cards as the why. So 2 primetime ones, reduce your slides by 50% and hold a meeting in a place you've never held it in it before. My why was, I was a teacher, lessons can be quite boring. The most impactful thing I did was spend a day with a kid. It was boring. That would be the word I would use and they would use. So it was really to disrupt people's thinking, to maybe try some different stuff, to make them recognise, do you know what, I'm really good at that and that has real impact. And then also to maybe go, oh, I've never thought of that. So those ones really for me, we called them prime time because everyone thinks a meeting is a meeting. It has an agenda. It lasts a certain period of time, etc., etc. 2 of the whys that I've used recently. So this was with cricket. So we'll talk about ways of doing it. But we did a starter, main, dessert with cricket. They picked 1 starter. So that was the pre-session ones. They picked 2 mains. That was in training ones. And they picked 1 dessert. And I put this one in because cricket nets can be quite boring, possibly, if the coaching isn't creative. So this was recreate a famous scenario in a game from your sport. So one of the coaches at Worcestershire had the lads in, huddled around an iPad, looking at the famous Shane Warne ball that got Mike Gatting out. They had the bowling machine set to that, and they were Mike Gatting facing Shane Warne, and it just brought the session to life. I used this one recently. So this was do not shout instruction during the game. I used this with a hockey coach. I gave him choice. So he had 5 cards. He had to pick 2. They were all pretty much in-game ones. And it was actually around pitch-side behaviour. And just then to raise his awareness and how we then reflected on it was a key part of that as well.
Yeah, we used that card of the weekend actually on the under 11 Mighty Tour, and to be fair, some people found it difficult. It was good feedback for the coaches and again what it did, it just created a conversation. It was easier than me going, oh, maybe we should do this or think about this. So to have that as a bit of a nudge and then just had some conversations. What stuff could we do or say instead of giving instruction and information.
Cool. And then I'm thinking of this stuff. So after the why, I'm thinking of who and who. So who am I going to give the card to, or who's going to give the card to them? So it can be very impactful. So for me, I remember when we got James Scott to design cards for us. So he gave me the card that Rusty is only allowed to talk about defence and he has to answer his own questions. That would be very impactful from James Scott to me as a player to a coach. I think that's, and I've seen that at quite a few of the hockey performance centres where the players are setting challenges for the coaches. Two the other day, one was stand in a different place to where you would normally stand and observe the impact. And the kid said, you tend to stand in an umpiring position you might see some different stuff. And the other one was about having positive interactions. So one of the coaches was to have more positive interactions with kids. And then I'm thinking about when. So when I first did these cards, I probably got a bit gung-ho, and I gave them to people like Peter Walton 30 seconds before a meeting. I learned my lesson. Probably needed a bit more time. How? So we've already spoke about choice. So once again, number one motivator for a coach to dial up his choice. So actually, we've got 6 cards here. Pick 2. Might be a better way of doing it. Reflection would be the key part for me. So what did we learn? What was the insight? And my favourite card is this one of all the cards. So this is chat with your co-coaches, complete the following. I discovered that, I struggled with, I really appreciated, I wish I had. Next time I will. I think having a framework for reflection would be useful for coaches, and I think that should also include players and possibly parents. And then last one is be yourself. So a real good story about this, and this is probably an unintended consequence of the cards, if not done as well as they could be. One coach was asked to have positive interaction with every player. That wouldn't be normal for that coach. So afterwards, when the players were asked, how was Coach X? And they said Coach X was creepy. So actually, it might have been a better challenge for that coach to actually go and have 2 positive interactions with kids. The cards are deliberately a little bit provocative, so you might want to adapt them slightly to your context.
Yeah, no, I agree with. Yeah, I mean that's all good information. My experiences would be similar. Definitely need to create choice. So the coach, I wouldn't want the coach ever to feel as though he's being judged or actually, I'm not that comfortable with this. I think we definitely want to create an environment where they are feeling safe around this. However, I do think they're a good way to get better, and that's fundamentally the conversations that we've had with coaches start with, do you actually want to get better as a coach? What's the stuff you're looking for thinking about? And these are a tool. They're definitely not just the only tool, but certainly the feedback that we've been having and I've been having is that these are really good around actually some focus within a session around some stuff based around the coach's strengths or some stuff they want to get better at. And also some stuff they've never even thought about. Often coaches are not thinking that much about coaching. They're often not paid for it. So some support around. So I've definitely had some feedback. Actually, it's changed my world a bit because I don't think I would ever have got there. And we got there in a way that I found really playful type stuff. And yeah, that's the feedback I've been having with the cards. I mean, my choices of cards would be actually similar to yours, but probably different. So I love this one. What was your biggest learning and sort of why from the training session? Again, after the training, how can you reflect as a coach? You're certainly trying to support the players from doing that, but how can you reflect? So yeah, lots of the after training stuff is around your skills to reflect, and then the learning that takes place based around reflection.
Nice. And there's a couple here that I thought that were probably ones that I've seen used recently that we may have never got to. All constraints to be decided by the players for the session. So the players almost run the session, they have choice. However, none of us were ever coached like that, so why would that one ever happen? And this one, explore 4 different ways to give feedback during training, reflect on the impact. So I don't think that much attention is given to feedback and the impact of it and how are the different ways we could do it. And it might be peer-to-peer, it might be actually through stuff going wrong, it might be through the practice designing games that give feedback. So I think that's a powerful one. These 2 are 2 that I've used recently, so they're reflective ones as well. Mike Dodds used this one at Birmingham City, so have conversations with and support the 4 players who found the session the most challenging. And Doddsy would have his 5 up on just above where he sits at Birmingham. So he's constantly thinking about them, and he'd have 5 for the week because he gets to do a lot of coaching. He found out lots of stuff that he didn't know about people from this. And then this one, I saw this the other day at Worcestershire Cricket. Ask 3 players how the session could be improved, build this into the next session. And this worked really well for Dan because they were having rotation, so they might have a 40-minute session and then another lot come in, but actually having a real quick, okay, next group are coming in, how would you make it even better for them? 2-minute conversation, and the lads giving some stuff that he could then try straight away afterwards. And often you'd see that in rugby or other sports where they got some kind of carousel going on. I thought that had real high impact.
Oh, nice. Just around my journey. So I'm working with somebody, and we've sort of come up with these 2 in training stuff. Unfortunately, I'm not doing as much coaching as I would want. One would be only speak when the ball is in play. I need to get better at coaching, or even better at coaching when the ball's in play. So I didn't share any information when the ball wasn't in play. That was the player's time. And the other one was around this skill zone. So now a few terms. So the skill training type stuff. How can I actually create environments away from the game, where often when the game's still going on, where players are getting more opportunities to get better. It's something that I haven't done that well, if I'm honest. I've got some pretty exciting stuff planned for the next couple of weekends around it. So I'm looking forward to that. So they're my 2 in training ones that I'm actually currently working on. I'm working with a coach. He asked me to pick one. I actually picked him this one, which was before training, which was share your IDP with the players and ask them to come up with ways that they can support you. The reason I chose it is because he doesn't have an IDP. Next time I seen him, he did. He had some stuff written down. He shared it with the players, and I thought the players did a great job of supporting him around the stuff that he wants to get better at, and he found it really useful. So they're the shout outs I would give, and there's lots of others, but I don't think we have time.
Yeah, this is probably the one that in terms of coach development, set yourself coaching challenges for the session and reflect on them with another coach at the end. So that's me as a coach developer and the coach, and it just feels much more collaborative. Probably a quick summary of some of the stuff we've spoken about. So some good ideas I've seen. So starter, main, dessert at Worcester, pick a pre-training, a during training and an after training each, and play around with it. The performance centres, the kids are picking them for the coaches and they're explaining why, what have you noticed. The kids would have a good awareness. Little WhatsApp groups, so 3 or 4 in a WhatsApp group, pick one for the week. Halfway through, we did the other day at Edinburgh, so we were halfway through a session and we split them into 3 groups, and we said, look, each group come up with 2 cards that you hope the coaches will do in the next kind of 40 minutes. So that was good feedback for us on the stuff we could be doing better. Kids guess, so I like, let's make it even more playful. Me and you are coaching Fletch, and we've got a card each, and the kids have got to try and guess what our secret mission is. Some nice stuff going on DPP at Quinn's, where people might sit around the table and kind of just chew the fat beforehand for 10 minutes and go, yeah, should we try this one today? So just quite collaborative with the coaches. And then I think I mentioned earlier, Mike Dodds would have a weekly focus, series of cards that he's going to go, right, these will be useful for me this week. We're doing this phase, and so therefore I think this stuff's important. So real good understanding of why he's picked those cards.
Yeah, just on that, I'm going to steal the guess. So I'm going to do some co-coaching at the weekend, and I'm definitely, we're going to talk about the secret, or not a secret, a mission within the young people. I'll take some Haribos down or some other stuff around. If they guess some of the stuff we're working on as coaches, then there's going to be some rewards for them. I haven't actually done that yet, and I've heard you speak about it a lot. I think it'll be really cool. I think it'd be cool to do it. And the guy I'm going to coach with at the weekend, I think he'll smash it. He'll do a lot better than me, actually. To be fair, he's a good coach.
Cool.
Nice.
That's the challenge cards, Carecraft Crack. How and why, over and out. Definitely any stuff that you're noticing or you're doing better than us, which will be lots of stuff, share with us, because we want to spread the word. Over and out.
Nice.